Good day, everybody. Today we will answer example 9, still under the topic chemical reaction equilibria. Let's read the problem. The gas phase oxidation of SO2 or sulfur dioxide to SO3 or sulfur trioxide is carried out at the pressure of 1 bar with 20% excess air in an adiabatic reactor, assuming that the reactants enter at 25 degrees Celsius and that equilibrium is attained at the exit. Determine the composition and the temperature of the product stream from the reactor. First, let's write the given. Given is we have the oxidation of sulfur, oxidation of SO2. Okay. And then the pressure is 1 bar and there is 20% excess air. The initial temperature is 25 degrees Celsius. Equilibrium is attained at the exit. Okay. Equilibrium is attained at the exit. So we need to find the composition at the exit and the temperature also at the exit of the product stream. So there's a reactor. So this is our reactor. So we have T naught and T right here. So our reactants enter here. The reactants are SO2 and O2. The products are SO3, but we also have the unreacted SO2O2. So hold on. So air is also entering. So there's N2 and O2. So in excess and excess air. So excess N2 and O2. Okay. The pressure is same throughout the reactor and it's adiabatic. Adiabatic. So the solution is just like before, we need to get the conversion, yeah, epsilon sub E. So we need that. And we also need the equilibrium constant. We would be needing, in our calculation of the equilibrium constant, we would be needing the delta H of reaction. Okay. So we can get that from, okay, you can actually solve that using the delta H of formation. Okay, so the delta H of formation. But first we write the reaction. So SO2 in gaseous phase plus 1/2 O2 becomes SO3. So this is the balance reaction. And I'll go straight to the delta H of reaction at 298. But you can calculate that from the delta H of formation. So I leave it up to you. Okay, and delta G at 298 is negative 7866. So the unit is joules per mole. What else do we need to proceed? Let's write the number of moles for the their entering feed. Okay, so we assume that the basis is 1 mole of SO2 as the reactant. So the mole SO2, so mole SO2 is equal to 1. Therefore, the mole of O2, if there's an excess of 20%, so that's 1 half, so 0.5 times 1.2, where 0.2 is because of the 20%, so that's 0.6. And the mole of N2, just use the ratio 79/21, that you will get 2.257. Okay, now we use this equation. So if, let's go back to the previous lecture. Where is it? This one. So we use this in order to write the number of moles of all the species in the products. So these are all the reactants now. For the products, we use this equation. So mole SO2 is equal to the initial number of moles. So that is 1, the basis, minus the coefficient of SO2, which is -1. So that's why so plus -1, the coefficient. So plus -1, so that's minus, multiplied by the reaction coordinate. And then we have mole O2, which is 0.6. That's the initial minus plus -0.5. Okay, because in the reaction, right? So it's a reactant and then the coefficient is 5. So 0.5 times the reaction coordinate. Next is SO3. Okay, so SO3 is a product. So there's no initial and its coefficient is +1. Then finally, for N2, it's fixed. So mole of N2 is fixed at 2.257. 257. So if we add all of these moles, what we'll get is the value, or rather, the total is 3.857 minus 0.5 epsilon sub E. Okay. So obviously, since the temperature at the product stream is unknown, so two are unknown, temperature and epsilon. So we need two equations. So one equation is from the energy balance. And then the other equation is from the equilibrium reaction, using the compositions and the equilibrium constant. So first, let's draw a hypothetical path from the reactants to the products. Okay, so this is initially 1 bar and P, 1 bar, this is the pressure. Products are also at 1 bar, but the T naught is 298.15. Kelvin. So T is unknown. In our hypothetical path, um, the reactants become the products at 1 bar and temperature intermediate 298.15 Kelvin. So from there, this hypothetical path, it now proceeds to the products, but now at the temperature, certain temperature that is unknown. Okay, so here temperature and pressure are maintained, and then the temperature is raised to an unknown temperature. So in this hypothetical path, delta H here is the delta H of the reaction at standard temperature and pressure. But you have to multiply this by the reaction coordinate because the delta H would just depend on the extent of the reaction. And then from here, it's the delta H of um, raising the temperature of the products from T equal to 298 to at a certain temperature T. So this would be sensible heat. So if we write an energy balance, and because um, if assume everything is negligible, then and it's adiabatic, delta H is total is just equal to 0. And um, expanding that, delta H is actually coming from 2. So that's the delta H in our hypothetical path, delta H of the reaction at standard state, and then the delta H of sensible heat of transforming the product to a higher temperature, and that is equal to 0. So this is our equation 1. Um, Next, so this value we calculated it earlier. So leave it up to you to calculate it from the heats of formation. So this is the one. But what what about delta H sensible heat? So it's it can come from the CP, mean CP. Okay, so since we have many species, we take the mean CP. Okay, so we call it um mean total heat capacity, CPH. Okay. And of course, we have to multiply it with the delta T. So T, so unknown, that's the temperature we're looking for, minus the initial temperature. So, um, so how do we get exactly the total mean heat capacity? It's just equal to the, oops, okay, it's equal to the summation of the number of moles, since our heat capacity is on a molar basis. So multiply the number of moles of each species to its um, mean heat capacity right there. Okay. So what's the next step? How do we calculate that? There's an equation for that I will show later. But first, let's combine these equations back into our energy balance. So, also, by the way, where do you get the CP data from? You can use table table C.1 from Smith and Vaness appendix. Okay, so let's combine this equation back into the energy balance. So delta H, okay, delta H So this should be multiplied by the reaction coordinate because it would depend on the extent of the reaction. So there, and then the CP times T minus 298.15 equal to 0. So now we can isolate T on one side of the equation. Then it's just negative delta H. Oops. 0. So T minus 298.15, 0. So isolating T on one side of the equation, just negative delta H 298 times the reaction coordinate divided by the mean CP plus 298.15. Okay. So now we have an equation for the temperature. So by the way, let's label the equations. Okay, let's label the equation. Uh, okay, let's label this as equation A. And then this is equation B. And this is equation C. For easier reference later on. Next is, so to simplify the calculation, we assume an ideal gas. And with that, the equation that we need to use is this one. Okay, so we use this one. So now we have we have a relation, an equation that relates the composition with the rea reaction constant, equilibrium constant, I mean. So we expand this equation, but first we need to calculate for nu. So that's 1 minus 1 minus 0.5, and that is negative 0.5. Okay, and then n naught. So n naught is, you have to add, okay, you have to add everything. This one, 1 plus 0.6 plus 2.257. So these are the initial number of moles. So you have to add that. And that is equal to 3.857. And now we um okay, so before expanding that one, okay, so before expanding hold on. Okay, so let's expand this first. Like so uh okay. What, so expanding this, it's YSO3 over YSO2 times YO2 raised to 0.5. So raised to 0.5, and that's equal to P over P naught, and this is raised to negative 0.5. So raised to So I did not substitute first equal to K, but V is -0.5, so it will be raised to 0.5 later on. So we use the reaction. Okay, so we use this one again. Okay, this equation, reaction coordinates, to write the values of the composition. All right. So we use that one to write the composition. So let's write it. So YSO3 is okay. So please um just analyze this on your own why it's written this way. Okay, so using the information that we have, okay, that one and not, and also the initial. So you have to refer to this initial. So these are the reactants. So I write here reactants. Initial reactants, and these are the products. Okay, so finally we also write there. So those are the compositions. Um, so now we substitute it into our equation. So by the way, let's complete this. P is just 1, so this ratio is 1/1 raised to negative, raised to 0.5, so it's just equal to 1. So this entire thing will be equal to 1. And this is just equal to K. Okay, so again, because this term right here is equal to 1. So if we substitute the y values in the equations for y, I mean, you will get something like this. So please um, just do the analysis on your own. It's very easy. It's just algebra, and this is equal to k. It's so ugly. Okay, let me correct it a bit. Mm-hmm. No, not you. Okay, there. So this is multiplied by 0.5 times epsilon E. Okay. Okay. As a, by the way, another reason why we can assume ideal gas, aside from it simplifies things, is because the pressure is low enough, 1 bar. Although we do not yet know the final temperature, at the initial temperature it's 298. So, I mean, we're expecting that since this is we're expecting a high temperature, a high final temperature. So the conditions for ideal gas are met. Okay, so since um all right, anyway, let's proceed. What's the next step? So after that, we have to solve for K. What equation can we use? We use the long equation. Oops. Ln K equal to delta G over RT. Okay. So we use that. Uh, so I'll just copy paste here that equation, this one. Okay. So that's the reason why we calculated for the delta H and delta G earlier. So I'll be using it here. So if we substitute the values, okay, so we also already have values for delta G naught and delta H naught. So um these two terms we already know, so and we don't know this one, but the problem is since you don't know the final temperature, um this is not readily solvable. Okay, so this is T naught to T, but T is unknown, and this is the reason why we need to iterate. Okay, so what's the next step is um okay, let's try to first substitute the values. So I already substitute the values here and simplify this term. Okay, and also for this term right here. So that's and what is left would be okay, what is left would be these two terms right here. So these two terms right here. Um okay, so notice that the negative sign is transferred to this side or is gone from the left side. So that's the reason why this would be negative. Then this would be positive. Dt over T. Okay? Okay, so the problem is these two terms right here because temperature is not, the final temperature is unknown. So what we will do is we will get the CPs of the species of the product. So CP using the table C.1. So for all of this, okay, hold on. Oops. For all of the species, okay, you need to get the CP from the CP table right here. Okay, C.1. And just like how we solve example 4, maybe um we get the delta A, delta B, and delta C, delta D. Okay, so I hope you remember example 4. So calculate delta A, delta B, delta C, delta D using data from table C.1. Okay. So at this point, the iteration would start. I will shift to Excel. Okay, so I'm now showing Excel. First, I calculated for delta A, delta B, delta C, and delta D. For the uh, okay, so using the CPs, okay, CP data from table C.1. So the next thing that you need to do is to assume an initial temperature. Okay, so initial temperature, actually the iteration for this is more difficult than our previous iterations because um there is a part wherein you have to solve epsilon manually. Okay, so after getting the delta A, delta B, delta C for the species, okay, so this is using the reaction. So N2 is not included. So we have one for SO2, O2. This is O2. So these are the reactants. Okay, so you can uh let me zoom in. I can't zoom in. Anyway, this is for O2 and this is for SO2 and this is for SO3. The next step after assuming a temperature is to calculate CPDT. So what is CPDT? It's this right here. Okay, this one. Um, so we use the equations before. So let me open that. Hold on. Okay. So the first step is to assume a temperature and then calculate for uh, CPDT over R. So this is actually this part right here. Okay, so I may open that. Okay, this part right here. Using this equation. So this is that expanded, or if you will remember example 4. And then calculate for CPDT over T. So this is this part right here, or this one right here. Okay. So um, using this equation right here. Again, this is a review example 4. But because we have an assumed temperature, it's easier to, we can solve CPDT and CPDT over T. We can solve the integral. So next is we solve for ln K, okay, using this equation. So um, we're going to need the CPDT and CPDT over T evaluation. Okay. So next is exponentiate ln K. And this is the challenging part because um, this cannot be done in Excel. You have to manually solve. So whatever K that you will be getting from here, okay, you have to input that back to this equation and then solve for epsilon sub e. So I hope that you get that. Okay, again, so this cannot be solved by Excel. This is done manually. So you get the K, input it here, and then solve for epsilon sub e. And then after solving for epsilon sub e, you solve for the number of moles of the products using what? Using these equations that you set up earlier. That one. Okay, so if you only need epsilon sub e to get the moles of the products. So you have to do that for all of the products right here, except for N2, it's constant. And then that's the time you can solve for the total mean heat capacity. But first, do it for every species, SO2, SO2, O2, and SO3 and N2. So using what? This equation, this is for the CPH. So after doing that for each species, that's the time you can calculate for the total CP. And how do you do that? You multiply the number of moles with the CP. So this equation right here. Okay, so you multiply the number of moles with the CP to get the total CPH. And then from there, you use equation C, okay, this one, equation C, to get a new temperature. Okay, so I hope you were able to follow that. Um, so that's the last column of the iteration. Then you begin again. You equate that by to the next um row, and you solve again for CPD. So for this one, you can just drag the column. But after you get to this point, again, the next column cannot be solved using Excel. So you have to input this again to this equation. Okay. And solve for epsilon E. And do that over and over again. I have a problem with this iteration because it's oscillating. So after the answer is 855.7 Kelvin. So after I um get a new temperature, it will go down and go up until uh it reaches the convergence. So it's quite difficult, especially this step because you have to do this manually. So anyway, the answer is the temperature is 855.7. Okay. And then that's the time when you can calculate for, and the epsilon will converge to 0.77, and that's the time you will be able to solve for the, so iterate using the procedure that I described earlier. I will write it. Okay. Okay. So I wrote the steps in the iteration and I put a label. So assume a t, evaluate CPDT and CPDT over t. So I'm referring to these two values right here. Um, okay, and then solve for k using equation E. I labeled it. So equation E is this one. And then solve for epsilon using equation D. So this is equation D. And then solve for CPH using equation C. Okay, so using equation C. And equation C is this one. Okay. Then repeat. So the final answer would be this right here. Temperature is, oops. Temperature is 855.7, and then epsilon is 0.77. Then you have to use the equations. Okay, that you set up earlier for the product. So let me just wait for Zoom. I mean, wait for the whiteboard. This one, you have to use this. No, 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 not that. This one. Okay, you have to use this one to solve for the values of uh, y. Okay, so solve for that one. Huh? What else? That's it for this problem. So don't worry about the iteration because we will not give something too difficult in the exam. Okay. So by the way, I will put the equations. I will put the equation here. Uh, okay. Okay, so I put the equation right here. Okay. So that's it for this problem. We'll continue in the next video.